Welcome to Stories and Stanza. I'm your host, Opro. I'm a writer and I created this podcast to bring you a montage of real stories that make life beautiful as poetry. Today's episode is part of the Fail With Me series. I have had a few difficult years where I felt incredibly isolated. So when I came out of it, I wanted to create a supportive space to help those going through similar challenges. In a world that celebrates success and stigmatizes anything that doesn't fit that mold, Fail With Me aims to normalize and accept failure. I explored the concept of failure from various perspectives and challenge the notion that failing is something to be ashamed of. If we can truly unpack the layers of failure, we will find key to our healing. Please join me in welcoming today's guest. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Stories and Stanza.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for working with the time difference. I'm really glad to have you here. In this segment of Stories and Stanza, I've titled this as Fail With Me, and it is a space to open up about failures and say that failure is, after all, not so bad, and it depends on us how we accept it and how we move forward. So I'm really keen to hear about your journey and your business as well. So for our listeners, can you give a brief introduction, please?
Yes. So my name is Megan Gaul. I am from Staten Island, New York. And right now I work as a health coach. I've been working as a coach for about 2 years. And a little bit about me and what really drew me to your idea of this Fail With Me exploration. When I saw that title, it just lit up a story in my brain of weight regain, because I think we have so much expectations around ourselves about moving forward and progressing in our life, going upwards. So when you see something like you get to a healthy weight and then you regain some of that weight, you feel like you've gone backward. I know a lot of people have seen that failure happen for themselves. That's the main kind of story that drew me to your Fail With Me series.
Thank you. Yes, I created this theme basically about failure is that we often judge failure, and that's how we are conditioned to do. So can we rise above that, accept things for as they are? And this is like a step towards mindfulness. And whatever our goals are, how we perceive success and failure, that's something I'm trying to question in this series and trying to hear from the fantastic guests I have had on my show so far. Can you tell me a little bit more where you perceived failure and how you bounced back from there?
Yeah. So I think that when I started seeing failure, that's an interesting way to put the question, because I don't think we can see failure until we have this hope that we can reach the goal. In my late college years, early 20s, I undertook a goal for myself of losing weight. I was around 180 pounds, so I was definitely in the medically overweight category. And I saw it impacting me because I wasn't pleased with how I looked. I didn't feel like I was speaking on even terms with anyone I was talking to, because in the back of my mind, I was just very self-conscious. So it was impacting my social life. It was making me shyer and less confident. I undertook a weight loss journey. I look back and I'm sure I felt like I was doing it the right way and the healthy way. I remember writing down what was motivating me and making it a beautiful sheet of paper that I could put up in my dorm room at the time. So I set out my goals and what was motivating me. And my plan was to track my food and change how I was eating at the college dorm, eat more vegetables, have less takeout, all that stuff. But where I started to see the failure, it crept on so slowly. But over the course of 3 years, I regained weight and became basically 50 pounds heavier than where I was in college. So I had been at 180 pounds. I lost maybe 40 pounds in a healthy way. But then over 3 years after that, I regained up to 230 pounds. And I think I saw that as a failure. I think a big piece of why it happened was related to just me not having learned some skills I really needed to learn over that period of time. So one big one was managing my emotions. So I think that process of seeing the healthy habits that I had built slip away and seeing myself fall back into kind of eating for fun, eating for comfort, and seeing that weight regain, it really showed me some of the things I still needed to work on that I hadn't mastered yet related to stress and emotions.
I'm curious to hear that when you went through these challenges, what was your support system like?
Oh, I like that question. So I was very internal about all this. I was not one of the people who announced to everybody, I'm going to get healthy. I'm throwing out the cookies. I'm losing weight. You're going to see me in a bikini next year. I was very internal. I didn't share it with the people I was close to until I was pretty sure. So I have a wonderful support system. At the time in college, I had some super close friends. I'm close with my parents, my brother and sister. I don't think I was alone in the sense that the people I had near me wouldn't have helped me if I'd asked, but I wasn't in the habit of going to them for help. So when I saw myself later on with that emotional eating in response to feeling stressed at work or stressed about big milestones in my career, I wasn't going to them. And they were there, but I wasn't going to them for that help that I think some people might do more quickly.
What was your turning point? You said that you were trying to improve and then that condition deteriorated for a while and then you got back healthier slowly. So if you look back, what do you think was the turning point?
The turning point, this to me seems really clear. Like it was when I decided to go for help. I decided to email someone who was a disordered eating specialist, a cognitive behavioral therapist. I wouldn't have had the courage to do that if I hadn't seen some of my good friends really benefit from therapy sessions. And so I started going to a really wonderful cognitive behavioral therapist who started to prompt me with some excellent targeted question. She didn't really delve deep into why are you overeating in the evening? What is it that the emotion that's happening? She didn't try to delve into my mental health at first. She really just asked me a few questions. And one of them was, can you drink an extra glass of water each day this week? And when she said that, I was so taken aback. I paused and I was like, yeah, of course I can do that. In my head, I was thinking like, that's not going to make any difference. I'm stuck in this eating cycle. I'm the heaviest I've ever been. I always feel guilty after I have a huge dinner or a huge lunch. I heard that question and I thought it wouldn't make any difference. But I said, yeah, I can do it because she was there asking me if I could do it. So that week I had an extra glass of water each day. And the next week after our session, she came back with another question, which was, do you think you could start keeping a food journal, writing down your food each day? And that also sounded very easy to me because it wasn't, can you cut out sugar? Can you stop eating delivery pizza? It was something that was within my wheelhouse. You could just write down your food, right? And I said, yeah, of course I can do that. I don't think that's going to make a big difference, but yes, I can do it. And those two actions, I look back and they seem so small and so insignificant, but they really gave me evidence that I could do something different in my day and have it stick. I realized that I didn't believe that about myself before. I didn't think I could really change anything about my day. Those questions, I think, were a big turning point for me because they helped me get the ball rolling and start realizing that I could actually do something.
So they made you look inwards in a way?
Yeah, they made me, instead of getting wrapped up in, gosh, why am I here? Like, why is this happening to me? It was just a very simple thing. Can you do this thing that we all agree is good for you? So it was in my control, which was nice.
Yeah. I'm curious to know that you are a health professional. So maybe you can mix your experience and your knowledge both into this. What is the link between your physical health and your mental health? What did you experience and what you, as a professional, what is something you observe in people?
Ooh, it's a question that has so many directions you could go in.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, the big link was my mental health and some skills I was missing with my mental health, namely handling stress in a productive way. They really negatively impacted my physical health. I think the lack of those skills, because I hadn't developed them yet, I only had really one coping mechanism when things felt hard, when I felt sad, when I felt worried. And that one coping mechanism, I just went back to over and over again. And it was usually every day there was an opportunity to have a big meal with really delicious food that I really looked forward to. That was my fun and that was my stress relief. And so for me personally, the link was not having the skills of managing unnecessary stress caused some mental health spirals with anxiety and depression. And that caused a large weight gain. And I think that has a cycle to it because when you're heavier, you then have less energy to go do the hard things like getting up and going for a walk or doing your daily medication or getting good sleep. So it was a cycle then. And I think professionally, I see that a very similar pattern with a lot of people. They're already well into that cycle. So they have, all they know is that they're overweight and they're unhappy. But once we start digging in, there's a root of, I always overwork because I'm worried about what my boss will think or whether I'll be fired. And then I never have time to prepare healthy meals for myself. So there's so many places you can start the cycle, the chicken and the egg.
Yes. Yes.
So I think for me, it was really helpful to just find one place to start making an improvement. And that really helped the cycle, helped me spiral in a positive direction, started the whirlpool going the other direction.
Absolutely. In my last couple of episodes, I recorded one which was titled Healing versus Coping, as in a lot of people get stuck into that coping mechanism. They do the same thing over and over again. And then from there to change towards healing, as in you heal from within and you heal your mental health, you heal your physical health. So I feel that what you are sharing is a very much similar journey, that there it was a coping stage and then you came out of that and you thrived. So when you look back in those challenges, do you think any of your learning or your positivity was rooted in those failures?
Oh, yes, I do. Because I am always thankful right now in my life. I look back at that person who was overweight, no energy, and she still got up and did really hard things every day. She got up, she prepped her meals on Sunday every week. She went for walks when she still was overweight. She went out and did social things even when she wasn't feeling her best or her most confident. She took all those really small, hard tasks. She moved towards healing. And now I look back and I'm in a very different place right now. My weight is healthy. My energy levels, I can see them. They're very different. They're much higher than they were. I enjoy talking to people now, whereas before I was always. And so I look back at the person who had all those hard situations and she still took really hard action to move forward. And I like that you said healing instead of coping, because she stopped focusing on just curing herself of how hard the day had been. And she started focusing on doing some things in advance to make everything more pleasant and easier. So she planned her meals that were healthy and that would result in a healthier weight. I look back and I'm thankful that my past self did that. And I really, right now, I try to do that and use that to help me do hard things now, because I still have a lot of things that I find hard. And a lot of them related to my career, because being self-employed is totally new to me. And I like using that vision of how me in 2017 and 2018 did very hard things to get where I am now. And I can do that for me 6 years in the future. Whatever I can do today, even if it's small, my future self is going to look back at me and say, thank you for doing those really hard things.
With the knowledge and experience you have today, if you were to go back to your struggling self and you were to give a kind advice, what would that be?
I think I would give her a hug and I would say, you're doing just the right stuff. A lot of the reason I got to that point, so overweight and so stuck in that cycle, was because I was feeling overwhelmed even thinking about making a change. It felt too big and too difficult. If I could say it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be difficult, it can start really small, and you never have to do something you're not capable of. You're always going to be able to do something you're capable of. It's not going to be this big, overwhelming thing that is impossible. You can definitely do it.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm keen to hear about what you do about your business and how you work in this space and what you do for people.
Yes. I really got into cooking and I loved doing my Sunday meal prep. I loved trying new recipes every week. It was really fun for me. So I started to take pictures of what I was making, put them on Instagram. And at the same time as doing this, I was seeing in my career that I really wanted to do something that felt very close and meaningful to me. And since in my early adulthood, I had done some teaching, I was a long-term substitute for high school and I had managed a tutoring center and did some teaching there. I thought that coaching made a lot of sense as something that took my skills and what I was good at, and I could combine it with something that I know a lot of people want to see in themselves. So I had the knowledge of how to go about a weight loss in a non-restrictive, simple way. And I also had this background of teaching. About 2 or so years ago, I started looking for jobs in the coaching industry, the health coaching industry, specifically with folks who are looking to lose weight. I did achieve a job and I really enjoyed it there. And then shortly after that, I decided to strike out on my own so I could have full agency to help people the way I wanted to help them. So I really help folks in a one-on-one coaching relationship. And I work with people who want to lose weight, but they want to do it in a way that is authentic to them, that feels kind, feels self-compassionate. And we really focus a lot on having the person collect their own information and collect the data about what's happening in their lives, because that is such a great tool to make improvements and change from where they are, rather than just giving them a meal plan and giving them a workout plan and say, go from there. I like how we work together because it focuses on giving them a reasonable step up, not a weird 360 turn towards something that they might not want to do for the rest of their lives. So that's what I really do. I do coaching to help people achieve their weight loss in a nicer, more compassionate way.
Yes. And you touched upon this right now, that there is, like, you focus on them and what would work for them, and you made a connection between the data and weight loss.
Yes.
Can you tell a little bit more about this?
Absolutely. So after I worked for the tutoring center, I worked for a nonprofit and I was on their strategy team. So I got a lot of experience using their organizational data to make strategic decisions for what programs we would do, how we're supporting our members. So I got really fascinated by that process of collecting the information about what's happening on the ground, looking to see what insights we can get from it, and getting to make really strong decisions from it to hit our goals. And I drew a big comparison between that and how I approached my weight loss, because I'm a numbers person. I love to collect information on my calories and what my body needs to maintain its weight versus what it needs to lose weight. I also really loved collecting data on my habits. One habit that I built was doing this daily walk, especially when the pandemic hit and I couldn't commute anymore. I added some daily walks into my routine. So I was collecting data on how often these happened and how it affected my overall, energy, health, and then using that information to add a reasonable next step. So let me take up my step goal X amount next week. It should be doable because I've collected all this information and my average is 9,000 right now. So I should definitely be able to do 10,000 next week. So I loved that process for myself, just collecting my habit data and my calorie data and looking at it really curiously instead of how the diet industry likes to do it now, which is restrictively. Let's collect your calorie information so that you can only hit 1,200 calories to lose weight. Instead of that approach, I like to use data to help the person see and accept exactly where they are right now. Because the sooner you can accept what's happening in your life now and the easier it is to make an improvement and move forward. And in my experience, the more likely that change is going to stick because it's close to how you're already doing it. It's just a small step forward.
That was very insightful. As a professional in this space, what I want to hear is, personally speaking, that I find that there are so much information in today's state. It's very easy to get confused about health and healthy food habits, etc. How do you consult someone who is going through a weight loss challenge?
That's a great question. A very confusing industry. Like the way that we have created so much, it's an information overload about nutrition and what your exercise should look like. But I think that the one big problem is that everything that's mildly related to health, companies tend to take it and associate it with weight loss in order to sell it.
Yes.
Even if it's something that has nothing to do with weight loss, there will be a package that includes it that claims that it will help you lose weight. And I think about that with intuitive eating a lot, because the idea of intuitive eating, from my understanding, is that it's a way to heal your relationship with food. But there are so many companies who have taken intuitive eating and said, this is your weight loss method. Do intuitive eating to lose weight. To me, that is it's not meant for that. And it's probably going to work against you if you try to use it that way. So I like to return very concisely and concretely to energy balance. If what you're eating now in general is keeping your weight stable, then where are the places we can make an improvement to support weight loss? So usually that will be if your lunches are lighter, if they are a smaller portion, if they are more filling, like they have more protein, they have more fiber, then those changes are supportive of your weight loss goal. So I really focus in on lightening with calories and increasing the places where you have your filling, nutritious food. So you've got your protein, you've got your fiber, your fruits and vegetables. I keep it really simple. The more we can simplify that process and not demonize foods that are great in moderation, then the better people will be able to stick with their new lifestyle that they're making.
You said something which was really interesting. Like you used a term called relationship with food. Do you think? Can you tell a little bit about that? How does that start? And is it possible to improve that relationship?
Yes. So the term relationship with food is very broad. You can have a really healthy relationship with food where it fuels you, it doesn't control you, you feel like you enjoy it when you want it. You could leave it when you're not hungry. Those are what we think of as a healthy relationship with food. What we think of as unhealthy is it's this energy of the food has a control over you. People who have an overeating or a compulsive eating, binge eating problem will often describe, I couldn't control myself. The food was calling to me. That's this term I hear a lot. The food was calling to me from inside the cupboard. It almost feels like it's an enemy, and also you can't get enough of it. It's my opinion that it comes from all your life experiences, what your family life at home, how they treated food, the messages you heard about food growing up, how scarce it was. Some people grow up in homes where you didn't know when the freezer was going to be restocked with chicken nuggets. You didn't know when there was going to be canned food in the fridge. You just had to scrounge at school, borrow things from other kids. And people who grow up in that environment, they find themselves with a very strained relationship with food. Even if they're an adult and food is available, they feel like it might be taken away at any moment. So there's that feeling of the food controls me there. I don't have control over it. It reminds me of your healing versus coping. Purposeful. You have to change how you're thinking about it. It's like anytime we're trying to change a belief about something. Like some people feel very strongly about money and they always feel like they never have enough. You have to, on purpose, look at money as this is something that I can always get if I need it. And I can survive safely with the amount that I have. That's a purposeful process. That person is trying to change their belief about money. I think it has to be the same thing with food as well.
That is brilliantly said. I am going to make that the highlight of our episode.
Oh, I like that. Oh.
And as a professional who is working in this space, if you were to challenge some of the preconceived notions about dieting and weight loss, what would they be?
Oh, I think the big one for me is that certain foods are bad. I think the problem with that view, and it's so pervasive. Like, we don't even realize it consciously. We just know, like, you bring up a picture of a lollipop, we say bad. You bring up a picture of an apple, we say good. Everyone knows what's good and what's bad in our common view of foods. But I think that creates so much overwhelm in people trying to be healthy that it keeps a lot of people from making progress. So me at 230 pounds, for a long time, I did not even want to go to someone for help with that problem of overeating because I was scared about what life would look like without the foods that I really enjoyed. I really thought that I would have to give stuff up. And the truth for me is that I didn't give anything up. I changed how often I was having things. I decided what was worth it for me. And I learned that some things were no longer worth it. But that was not someone telling me cut out cheese doodles. That was me learning I can have cheese doodles, but it's not as satisfying in the middle of the day as having a sandwich and some vegetables on it. So I would love to challenge the view that you can never have the foods that you really like that are forbidden. I always want to challenge that with my clients. So if they say, I had pizza today, I know that's bad. I like to question that and say, do you know healthy people who do eat pizza? And how did they eat it? It's like, how do they treat it? They might say, oh, maybe they'll have 2 slices and a salad on the side. I say, yeah. I like to question people who say, I can never have this if I want to be healthy, and try to challenge them to come up with ways they could have it and still hit their goal.
Thank you. I think we have covered a lot of aspects, and I will leave the details to your website and your email, etc., for anyone who might want to get in touch with you. And one last thing I wanted to hear from you is what's your favorite part in this journey towards being healthy?
Well, I think my favorite part is that I can now say yes to so many different things that I never said yes to. I used to say no to hanging out with friends. I used to think that I could never go for a hike because I'd be worried that people would be seeing me huffing and puffing and breathing hard. So life was smaller then. I didn't meet as many people. And my favorite part about now being on the other side of that hump is that I put so much more fun in my life on purpose. And I don't want to say that is definitely not because of the weight loss. It's definitely not. It's because of the realization that I had that I could change my life. And that gave me so much confidence to make my life more close to how I wanted to live it. Even if I still did all the same things, but was still 230 pounds, I would still have developed new confidence and new way to say yes to more of life. So that's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for sharing your journey and your wisdom with us today. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much, Abra. This was a great conversation.